Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Swamavirdvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you for coming. A lot of things to say about stress. From the most ancient of knowledges. And this, in fact, the relief from stress. Step 1. And step 2, the total elimination of stress in one's life is seen as the goal of human life. This is what I say human life because animals don't have stress. I mean, if they have stress, it is because we have created stress in their life. Either because they are being mistreated or abused, then they may be stressed out. But other than that, if they are left to be free on their own, they don't have stress. Dog is not saying, today I have to dig up the bone. Where did I bury that bone? I'm really stressed. Doesn't think like that. Neither does the cat think, I haven't chased 3 other cats today. That is my minimum accomplishment. This is what I have made my goal, to chase at least 3 cats every day. And I haven't done that. I think I'm losing my style. I think I'm just, losing my touch. And so I'm very stressed. The lion doesn't say I'm aging. My roar is turning into a meow, and therefore I'm stressed. Stress is a human problem. It's a human problem, very much so. And so much one is used to this that people feel like they cannot function. We have come to think that we cannot function unless we have a certain amount of stress in our lives. This is seen as normal. In fact, we'll make ourselves feel stressed in order to produce something, in order to accomplish something. And that's why we have the stressors of our choice, starting with coffee, Yeah. They say that it gets the adrenaline running. Adrenaline was already running. Due to Bhagavan's grace, it's already running, it knows what to do, it is already there. You don't have to make it run. No, I have to make it run because, so many reasons. But really, underneath all the reasons, the feeling is that one is a failure. One has to achieve something in order to be worthwhile. That is why it's a human problem. The cat does not think I have to become something. I'm really catatonic. I have to become something other than what I am. No, it is happy being what it is. In a way, the animals are much more sane if we look at them, in their own habitat. They are much more sane. And they don't try to accomplish the impossible. They don't try to gain something that out of a certain kind of a pressure. And this pressure is described in the Bhagavad Gita, I'm sure you've heard of this text. There, in fact, it is a treatise on stress, the Bhagavad Gita, and I'll be talking about that a little later. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is said very clearly that all pressures exist because of certain strong agenda, strong desires to have certain things in a certain way. This is how it should be. No flexibility. You know. The Gita does not say, do not have desires. Remove the desires. It doesn't say. In fact, if it were to say that, it would be wrong. It says, in fact, the opposite. It says, Bhagavan, Lord Krishna says, it is if you have a desire, it's not you, it is my presence. It's the divine. Desires are divine. It's me, it's not you. Then what's the problem? The problem is not with the desire. The problem is with trying to. The problem is with allowing the desire to manage my life, as opposed to me managing the desires. I'm allowing myself to be managed by the desires. This is the problem. This is what the word is. So we don't talk about removing the desires. Let's say you say, I don't want to have desires, I don't want to have desires. If you just keep doing japa, meditation on that, what will happen? You will be left with the desire to not have desires. That's what will happen. Removing the desire is like going to the doctor and saying, I have a migraine. The fellow goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, here we treat the root of the problem. Oh, that's wonderful. I don't want an aspirin. I want to take this problem out from the root. Okay, says the doctor to the patient. Step into the operating theater. We'll just cut off the head. No more head. No more headache. This is not a viable solution. You can't cut off the head to not have headache. So similarly, the desire is as essential as the head. As the head is to you, the desire in the head is as essential as one's head is to oneself. Because the head is very important. Without the head, how are you going to live? Similarly, everything that happens from the morning to the night is because of desire. Because of this desire alone, the desire to wake up, the desire to do something, the desire to gain something, all that is fine. The problem is when they start to create pressure. They start to press on the nerves. They get on the nerves. They swing from nerve to nerve. And they make the jiva, the individual, into a nervous wreck. This is the problem. This is what the whole situation is. And therefore, we say that this stress has to do not with the desires, but with the lack of desire management. This is what is stress all about. Stress has to do with trying to accomplish something in a certain way, at a given certain time, and feeling like one is out of control. This is when stress comes, correct? This is when one is stressed. So to look at this problem from the standpoint of the Bhagavad Gita, it becomes very beautiful to see this, because it is, I told you, a treatise on stress. In the very first chapter, we have Arjuna, and then we have Lord Krishna. And Arjuna is extremely stressed. He is not calm at all. Extremely stressed. And why is he stressed? Because, and some people will say erroneously, because he wants to, not fight and Krishna is making him fight. That's not why he's stressed. And neither is Krishna making him fight. Nobody is making him fight. He was very bloodthirsty for the war. It was a war that couldn't be stopped. And 12 years he was in exile. And the 12 years, if he really didn't want the war, he could have called it off. But no, he wanted the war. And what did he do? He just was preparing. He was keeping the powder dry. He was keeping on preparing for this war for 12 long years. He was not about to give it up. And in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, he treats Lord Krishna like a driver because he happens to be the charioteer. How he ends up being the charioteer, I will tell you that story as well. It's a wonderful story. And he forgets this is the Lord doing me a favor and driving the chariot. He forgets about it. And he says, hey James, Senayor Ubhayor Madhye Ratham Sthapaya me Achyuta. Hey Achyuta. It's like saying, very informal. Not please, can you please, oh revered sir, nothing. Hey you, saying, hey chauffeur. What? Senayoho Ubhayoho Madhye Ratham Sthapaya me. Put my chariot, oh James, put my chariot in between the two armies. Yavadetan niriksheham yodhukaman avasthitan kaimaya sahe yodhavyam asmin ranasamudyame. I want you to put the chariot in between the two armies so I can inspect who are these idiots who have dared to fight with me, Arjuna. Lot of chest beating at this time. Me, who people run away, even hearing my name. In fact, this is how the mothers put children to sleep. Are you going to sleep or shall I call Arjuna? Then they sleep. This is my reputation. So who are these, who is this army of riffraff that is come to fight with me? Let me see who they are. So put my chariot in between the two armies. Let me see who is daring to fight with me. This is a lot of war talk, pre-war talk. This is how you kind of convince yourself to go to war. This is how it is. Nobody wants to go to war. You just kind of, do some ra, you chant and, you just make yourself go.
You get yourself pumped up.
Yeah, pumped up. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. And he got all pumped up. And then what? Krishna was not born yesterday. He's an avatara. He's an avatara of the Lord. And he knows. And he obeys. Because he's in the position, he's performing the role. So he has to obey. And you know what he does? Quietly he takes the chariot and puts it right in front of all the teachers, the elders. Yes, here are the people you are going to fight against. Look. Here, sir. I, sir. Look, here are the people. And then Arjuna has the first panic attack in history. It is described in great detail. And he himself describes all the symptoms. He says, Gandivam samsrate hastat, from my hand, this bow. You're supposed to, if you're a warrior, you can't just be lackadaisical, you can't just, come in your pajamas, you have to be ready to fight. And the bow is always held in a certain way. And then the chariot, although it has a place to sit, you are supposed to be standing in the chariot ready for war. See, I'm warming up. So then, so you have to be ready to fight. You can't just be, loose and wake me up when it's time to fight. You can't be just lying down in the chariot. So he says, with alarm, Gandivam samsrate hastat. The bow called Gandiva is flying away from my hand because my hand is sweating, it's slipping. Tvakcha paridahyate. I think I'm feverish. This is what one feels, like a school kid who doesn't want to go to school. I think I have stomach ache, mummy, like this. Tvakcha paridahyate. And then my skin is on fire. Na shaknomi avasthatum. I can't seem to keep my mind in one place. Brahmati iva me manaha. My mind is roaming all over the place. It's restless, it's fearful. I feel, paralyzed like a deer in the, headlights. The current expression that we keep, not Arjuna's expression. Deer were there back then, but not the headlights. And so then, he says, I have also started to see all bad omens around me. This omen thing is very interesting, you know, because you may be living next to a neighbor who has a black cat. Every day when you go out to work, she comes and rubs herself against you, and you also pet it, and you are known to give it some treats, and cat sit it when the neighbor is away. And then suddenly you have a job interview, and then what? You know, you're very nervous. In fact, you're convinced you're not going to get the job. And you set out for the job interview. And the cat runs, chases something across the street, right? In front of you, it runs. Immediately, it becomes an omen on that particular day. When the mind is vulnerable, when it's weak, when one is stressed, this is what becomes an omen. Yeah. So he says, I'm seeing bad omens everywhere. There is a vulture, carrying a carcass. I feel that's me. And there is something else happening here. And that also I feel is happening to me. His mind is not in his hand. Viparitani nimittani pashyami. Nimitta means omens. Viparita means bad omens. I keep seeing bad omens. And had this conversation between Arjuna and Krishna taken place now, we don't know what would have happened in the current day. Perhaps Lord Krishna would have said, here is a paper bag, breathe into the paper bag. This is what they say, that when you're stressed out, a little bit of carbon dioxide you need. And when you have the carbon dioxide, then what will happen? Somehow some balance takes place. Not too much, little bit, yeah. A few breaths. So that time there were no paper bags. So that's why we got, the paperback called the Bhagavad Gita. That is why we got the whole teaching instead. Instead of otherwise, nowadays it's quick fixes. It's here, take the paper bag, breathe into it, finished, or take one chill pill and you are okay, But in those days, those were the times where we believed, we had the leisure and we believed in taking the time to see the root of what this is all about. And Lord, and he says, I'm helpless. Please give me a solution. And he also says, I'm your student. Please teach me. Until then, Lord Krishna doesn't teach. Because he has got himself into a state. He keeps talking about the uselessness of the war. Why? Not because he is against the war, but because he has to kill the people who he learned from. His teachers, his elders, who were like his parents, his uncle, all these people. And that is why he's opposed to the war. I mean, didn't he know that he had to fight against them from a long time because they chose the wrong side? So they were actually in the wrong. Didn't he know that? He knew that. But knowing that intellectually and being actually confronted with them right there are two different things. And therefore, he got extremely stressed out and he was unable to do anything. And the first chapter closes with him just sinking into the seat of the chariot in a fetal position. That is my license. So he is just sitting there in the chariot, sunken into the chariot, refusing to get up. And then he says, I'm your student. Please teach me because I don't know what to do at this time. I'm thoroughly helpless and I have been reduced to this because I'm totally stressed out. because it's the first panic attack in history, perhaps, described in such great detail. And Lord Krishna deploys a two-pronged teaching method, very interesting, which happens to be the bulk of the Bhagavad Gita. And what it is that the first he says, he gives him a little bit of a pep talk. And then he says, look, what is it that you're so worried about? What is it that's going to happen? In the context of the war, what is it that's going to happen? You're afraid of killing these people and incurring bad karma, called papa. Papa has no translation. I'm just translating it bad karma like that. Yeah. Papa means uncomfortable situations in the here, or the hereafter, in other lives, in this or other lives, due to actions that have gone against dharma or righteous actions. This is what it is. And punya, again no translation. Good karma is comfortable situations generated due to good, actions that are dharmic in this or other lives. This is our translation, the definition, so to speak. So first he says you're worried about killing and incurring bad karma, but don't you know that this is your duty? You signed up as a commander-in-chief. You can't sign up as a commander-in-chief and sign up for the war, and when you're in a position to lead all these people, that is your duty, that's what you have to do. You can't suddenly say, I have turned pacifist. You had a lot of time to do that. This is not the time to do that, and neither are you a pacifist, because you'll happily go into another war. But you just don't want to fight this war that is right here. That is your problem. It's not that you are becoming a pacifist. You don't want to fight this particular war because you have emotional attachments and issues, some fears, some kind of, convoluted connection to the people who are fighting this war. And therefore, you are stressed. Why? Because you don't want to do what is to be done. See, this is all telling us. These are timeless teachings. So another source of stress, first one we already said, is the unmanaged desires running around and running my life and running the show. And what do these unmanaged desires do? They take over, and then what do? They completely stop me from, from being calm, because they create pressure to be fulfilled. That is the first cause of stress. And the second one is not doing or not liking to do what is to be done. It's not just Arjuna who is in that position. How many people are in that position even today? How many of you don't like what is to be done? And everybody will raise their hands at some point or time or the other. I like my job, but I don't like the boss. I like the boss, but I don't like the pay. I like my house, but don't like the neighborhood. I like the neighborhood, but don't like my house. I like the marriage, but don't like the spouse. I like the children until they are 13. After that, it is teenage. After that, it's horrible. So, this is how it is. This is the whole thing. Not liking to do what there needs to be done. And in the West, in India also it's a problem. This is a universal problem. But in the West, if we are living here, we have to be very careful of this, because this can take me for a ride. Yeah. This is kind of paradoxical, because the West is a place of instant gratification and this commitment to freedom. I want to be free. Free means what? I want to live as I like. Okay, what does that mean? I want to get up at noon. Okay, then what are you going to do? Then I'll see what to do, because by that time don't know what to do. So we'll just be spontaneous. We'll just do whatever we want. We want to be free of all regimentation. This is the idea. And everybody has this lifelong rebellion against discipline. It's very paradoxical. So one thinks that my freedom is incumbent upon making my life in a certain way, making my life in a particular way so that I can control all the aspects of my life. I don't have to do what I don't want to do. I don't have to see people that I don't want to see. I don't want to hang out with people or in places where I don't want to hang out. I can disown everything that is not needed, starting with the parents. Everything can be done. So I am the ordainer of my own life and I can craft it how I want to live. And that is the definition and that is also the way to gain freedom. This is one's understanding. Unfortunately, it's not true. It's not true. You know, this is one's pipe dream here. But even after living exactly how one wants, of course that's not always possible, but let us say in an ideal world it is possible. Let's say you have managed to make of your life exactly what you want. You see only the people that you want to see, you go only the places where you want to go. If you feel like going to work, you go to work. If you don't feel like going to work, you don't go to work. I mean, nowadays there's all this concept of working from home, all these things are there. So a lot of flexibility is there. Still, can you say I'm totally contented? Still, can you say I have made it? Still, can you say I am free of stress? Can you? No. So therefore, this is a delusion. The wrong idea that I have that if I learn to control my life and engineer it a certain way, then I am all right. This is the first myth that is busted by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. In fact, paradoxically speaking, to lead a life that has no stress, you want to have a certain regimen, a certain routine. In fact, that's where the person thrives. And you don't have to look far for that routine, it's already there. In the morning, what do you have to do? Wake up. See, it is something to be done. But I don't like it, yeah? You have to wake up. Even at noon, you have to wake up. You can't atrophy to in bed. You just get so restless when you wake up. You have to wake up. This is something to be done. This is what is called Nitya Karma. Some things I have to do. Then after having woken up, what? Brush the teeth. Even if you don't want to brush it, it's social service. You have to brush it because you're going to let yourself loose in society and out of consideration to others, at least you have to brush it. Same thing with the shower and all other grooming, personal grooming has to be done. Changing the clothes, wearing good clothes, all these things, fresh clothes, all these things are because there is something needing to be done. It has to be done. And then what? I have to go to work? No, but I don't like the job, but still I have to go to work. Correct. I have to go to work. And I have to, after coming back, I have to do a few things. Putting the garbage out, cooking, cleaning, all these things. And then the next day, it starts all over again. This is where the rub is, this is where the disconnect is, this is where the alienation is between the human being and the whole. Because one is not able to speak to this routine, one is not able to relate to this routine actively. Therefore, one becomes, it's all just about shortcuts and quick. If I just brush my teeth quickly, then I can do something that I really like, watch 10 minutes of TV, because I can brush quickly and do this. Or maybe that's where the whole multitasking comes from. Do 100 things at the same time so that everything is done quickly. So therefore, one lives like like an automaton. One lives one's whole day disconnected from oneself, and one lives the entire day completely stressed out because one is not able to be in enjoying what one is doing. One is not able to be in the moment, to be present. That's why the whole day is lived with the help of violent metaphors. Nobody gets up or wakes up. I jumped out of bed. Everybody tells me like that. Whenever they call me, they say, I jumped out of bed. And then another time they say, I jumped into the shower. Why you can't walk inside the shower? Why you have to jump? No, I jumped into the shower. I threw on some clothes. Why can't you just delight in selecting what you have to wear? No, I just threw it on. And then what? Threw on some clothes, grabbed a bite to eat. Yeah, just grab some. It doesn't matter what. And that's why the word junk and food are used together, synonymously. Junk food, in this country. Grab the bite to eat, and then what? Hit the road. This is how it is. I hit the road. What has the road done to you? Why do you want to hit it? Hit the road, cracked out some emails at work. Then what? I became cranky. Then on the way to work, you hit the road, and then on the way back, I beat the traffic. And then after coming home, no one cooks. But I threw something together. Or even worse, I nuked something. Gives me the chills. Yeah. And then what? I just flipped some channels. And then finally what? Crashed. Very good. Passed out, crashed. Yeah. This is what the whole thing is. No wonder one is stressed. Or maybe say more. You don't have to say more because no wonder one is stressed. I mean, after 1 week of this. This is the whole thing. 5 days I have to work like in this fashion. And then so that I can have 2 days off. I mean, what are you going to do with the 2 days off? So first day I just catch up because I'm just so tired and exhausted and I just become a vegetable. And then the next day it is preparing for the next week. What kind of a life is it? You work so that you can have 2 days off. And then you work the whole year so you can have 15 days off. And people are lucky if they can have 15 days off. And they work for the whole life so you can buy one bus. What is that bus called? It has a house behind it. RV. Huh? RV. Yeah. So you can buy this moving house and then go places. Crazy. Crazy life. Totally crazy life. And no wonder one is crazy. No wonder one is completely crazy. And this is why, this Bhagavad Gita is a sound thing to study, and where Lord Krishna's, whole teaching is very important. He points this out. He says that this is your karma, you have to do this, this is not optional. It's one thing you can, if you are fulfilling a desire, should I have Indian food or should I have Italian food? And you like both the cuisines and you don't care which one for that particular day you can eat either. Then if you say, okay, I think I'll just go for Indian food because it's more convenient or it's more conveniently available. That's a choice, okay? But really speaking, this is not that kind of a choice. This is not that kind of a choice because this is living the life is a choiceless choice. Maybe you're not here by your own design, but you're here, right? Yeah. Everything is a series of accidents, so to speak. We think they are accidents, but they are not. You're here, your parentage, your background, how many brothers and sisters you have, whether you are the first child or the middle child or the youngest child. Each one thinks the other one is better positioned to be in the sibling hierarchy. The eldest one always thinks, I wish I was the youngest one. Because, the eldest one, I have to be so responsible, I have to mother these younger ones. Not nice. And do you think the youngest one is happy? No. The youngest one says, I always have to wear hand-me-downs. I wish I was the eldest, I would get all new things. And everybody treats me like a kid. Nobody knows, even when I'm grown up, they just treat me like a kid. The middle one, of course, you know, says, I'm neither here nor there, and I'm right in the middle. And I'm sick of, I'm always mediating between the two, you know, the eldest and the youngest. This is what happens. And so, therefore, the satisfaction that one is trying to have as a result of desire fulfillment, which is the connection that one thinks is the route to contentment and satisfaction, is to, through desire fulfillment. Lord Krishna puts a big X on that. Wrong. Wrong. No, but fulfilling desires make me happy. You don't know. Not according to Lord Krishna. This is no. Maybe you're happy for 2 minutes until the next desire comes, and until the desire after that comes, you're happy, yes. But you're not really happy if you're depending upon the desire to fulfill you, to give you a sense of self. That's not happy. Because you see, it doesn't take desire to be happy. You can just be happy even without fulfilling a desire. You look at a flower, you look at the sunset. I used to give the example of sunrise, but I stopped after coming to this country because nobody knows what sunrise looks like. So you look at the sunset. It's beautiful. And for no reason you smile. You look at the antics of a small child, as long as it's not your child. Okay, it should be somebody else's child that you can hand it to them. Yeah. Then you look at the child, you smile for no reason. You listen to a joke, you just laugh. And you know, an 8-year-old told me this joke. It was actually in the form of a riddle. She said, why was the math book very, very, very sad? Why? Huh?
Nobody likes it.
Because nobody likes it, actually. That's it. Because it was full of problems. There were so many problems from the first page to the last page. It was full of problems. What desire got fulfilled now? You love, correct? So this shows that the wrong connection I have in my head, that to fulfill a desire is the recipe for happiness, is just the most, it's the biggest mistake I can make in my life. It's a very, very big mistake that I'm making. Because in the vision of Lord Krishna, in the vision of the Gita, the self is already happy. The self is already contented. The self is already free, without having to do anything, without fulfilling the desires, without cutting the throat of someone else, without jumping on somebody else's chances, without getting stressed. One is already what one wants to be. This is what I told you about the two-pronged teaching approach. So one feels very good when you hear this. Oh, I'm already what I want to be. Yes. I have achieved whatever I want. Yes. That's why the Gita becomes a mirror, which does not, unlike the Disneyland mirrors, distort what I look like. I always like what I see when I see myself through the vision, through the mirror of the Bhagavad Gita. It shows me in a wonderful light. It shows me as free, it shows me as total, it shows me as whole, it shows me as happy, limitlessly happy, not just happy for 5 minutes. That is what is called object-based happiness. You know, even the object-based happiness is coming from the subject. It's not coming from the object. But one is deluded like even a dog. You know, the dog found a bone, a very dry bone. And then it sat underneath a tree and started to chew on the bone. The sharp edges of the bone scraped and grazed the gums of the dog and caused it to bleed. And the dog thought that the blood is coming from the bone and said, oh, what a juicy bone I have today. Where is the juice? Not from the bone, from the dog itself. This is what it is. In fact, the Upanishad uses the word juicy to describe the self, Atma. Raso vai saha. It is the full of the greatest happiness possible. It's the essence of happiness, the very definition of happiness possible. Knowing which, so it becomes more of a cognitive shift. It's not I'm trying to make myself happy. I'm trying to understand that I'm already the fountain of happiness. I'm already the fountain of Shanti, which is the opposite of stress. Opposite of stress is Shanti. This is what the whole thing is. So this is the two-pronged approach. The first, Bhagavan Krishna, Lord Krishna gives the teaching and says that you are unnecessarily crying over something that need not be cried upon. You are just crying over something that is not a problem. Like the person who was crying. A made up story just for the sake of teaching. So I went and asked the person, why are you crying? Outside, when I was waiting for you to open the door, he said, a snake bit me. And I'm crying because I may just have a few minutes to live before this poison eats me up. Of course, everybody got worried. Where is the snake? Made him take off the clothes and examined his body, and the fangs of the fang marks were not there at all. Then, of course, the next thing I said is, come, let us go outside, please show me the snake. And he pointed to a rope that was lying bent 3 times on the lawn. A rope that was lying in the shape of the snake. So what bit you? That bit you? Yes. Oh my God. How can you be so calm? Look, I'm dying. I'm really upset and you're so calm. What's the number for 911? I have forgotten the number for 911. Please call. And it's not enough to say this is not a snake. Correct? So what do I have to do at this point? I have to say this is a rope. Look, I am touching it. Are you sure I can touch it? Yeah, touch it. Nothing will happen. So this is what the whole problem is. Thinking that I am afflicted when I am not. It's the whole rope snake issue. The serpent and the rope. So everything which makes me stressed out is this rope snake, really. Because the I that is defined by the Bhagavad Gita is something unassailable, free of pain, free of sorrow, forever happy all the time, limitless. Limitless enough to be abiding in this tiny little body, in this limping body-mind sense complex. Happy to be limited because it's not really limited. Happy to act out the limitations connected to the form and the name, like even the gold, does not become any less shiny if it is in the form of a small ornament like a nose tag. Does it become any less gold? No, it is still gold. Just how it defines itself. If it defined itself as an ornament, then it would have some, mental problems. Really. I'm small. The nose tag will have its own problems. I'm really small. And this woman always has a cold. She keeps blowing. Ew, I don't like this. I wish I was the bracelet. I wish I was the chain, even better. That just is so close to her heart. And oh, Bhagavan, in my next life, please make me a chain. The chain already had some of its own problems. Chain also had problems. The chain said this woman is a hypochondriac. All the time she's putting mufflers. My beauty is not seen. I'm always hidden from view. I have such a pretty design and I'm claustrophobic. I just want some space. Look at the nose stud. Always that's the first thing they see on her face and they say, oh, where did you get that? So nice. And it also registers a prayer. Oh Lord, oh Goddess, oh Mother and Father of the universe, next life, please make me into what? Nose stud. And this is why Bhagavan does not. This is why Ganesha, Bhagavan, Krishna, whoever, they don't need cable TV because each individual is a reality show, Yeah. Bhagavan says, Tathastu, so be it. And then what happened as a result? The now chain became the, was earlier what? No stud. No stud becomes chain, chain becomes no stud. You think they're happy now? Because the chain is used to very protected life. Always covered, always, inside, close to the heart, protected. The first time this woman blows the nose, the chain, which is now the nose stud, has a heart attack. Oh my God. This is terrible. What have I gotten myself into? This is horrible. Oh my God. How long is she going to have this cold? She keeps having this cold. She keeps having allergies in between the colds. So no respite for me. This is horrible. I was used to this clean, wonderful environment, all protected, and now I'm just exposed to the elements. This is wrong. And the now change was the earlier the nose stud. For 1 or 2 days it's happy. Oh, this is what I really wanted. But it was used to the sun and the fresh air, and it started to just feel claustrophobic. And they registered another prayer. They said, oh, please make me back what I was before. This is what it is. So, therefore, seeing that the connection between desire, fulfillment and happiness is not there, seeing that is a very important turning point in one's spiritual growth. This is what Lord Krishna says. It is called Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. A Buddhi means a mindset which turns away from the commitment to desire fulfillment. And so where is the commitment now? Is to discover who I am, is to discover the truth of myself. So there is a nice U-turn that one has made from the world of objects, which cannot keep me happy, to the world of the subject, which is myself alone. This subject I have to know, because I don't know. Oh, but I know myself. What do you know? I'm this many feet tall. That is the body. That's not you. I am of a calm mind. That's not you. That's the nature of the mind. I like this food. That's not you. That's your likes and dislikes. So what is this I? This I, which is described by the word Sat Chit Ananda, limitlessly whole, the only thing that is existent, unlike anything else. That I that abides in all hearts and in all things sentient and insentient, and that I which is the cause of the universe, which is likened to the Lord, which is the same as the Lord, which is the same as the Goddess, which is the same thing, that I have to know. So the question now becomes the removal of ignorance and what else? And a pursuit of myself as the Gita sees me. I learn to inhabit this I as the Gita sees me. This is what is the first part of Lord Krishna's approach for stress removal. And it's a very vital part. And it is only through this can one get absolute relief from stress. That's why it is discussed first. It is called Brahmavidya. Brahmavidya means knowledge of myself as the whole. Brahman means the whole. The knowledge of myself as unafflicted by pain, sorrows, fears, likes and dislikes. But then, that's it. That's a commitment. That's a process. And then what? In the meantime, the second standpoint of this approach, the second teaching approach, is to make sure that my lifestyle is conducive to gaining this understanding. So the first one is about knowledge, which I just described very briefly. And then the second one is to have some relative freedom from stress while even I am pursuing the absolute as the truth of myself. So relatively my day-to-day, just because I am pursuing the absolute, doesn't mean every day I have to be stressed. So there are certain things that I can do in the meantime to be able to not be stressed. And this is what is called Yoga Shastra. Shastra means teaching, teaching of yoga. And asanas are included, but we are not talking of asanas here. What are we talking about? We are talking about the karma yoga. To be able to abide in what I have to do, because there is really no choice. To able to see this as a form of worship. Work as worship. This is very unique to the Vedic tradition. Because then if you make it a form of worship, the idea is that you're sanctifying what you have to do. You're elevating it to the level of worship. In other traditions, this may not be the form of worship. Worship is what you do on Sundays or whatever days. But this is not for us. Worship is every action is potentially a form of worship if it is done fulfilling certain conditions. What are they? That you are mindful while doing it, and that you are able to do it without grudging, and that you are able to take what comes as a result of that work. The result of action, you are able to take with equanimity. If it fulfills these conditions, this is what makes the work an act of worship. Anything, whether it is, a mundane act like getting out of bed, like brushing the teeth, that is also worship. Because why? We don't say that, because where is the altar of worship? The altar of worship is this body. Deho devalaya proktaha jivo deva sanatana. Tajet ajnana nirmalyam soham bhavena pujayet. Means this body is a temple. That which is waiting to be discovered, the real darshan is within. That which is waiting to be discovered, awaiting discovery, is the truth of this universe, is the most holy thing that there is the goddess, is the Lord, is the mother and the father of the universe, right here in the heart. Waiting to be discovered. And right now they are not available to be discovered. Why? Because there is a thick jungle of likes and dislikes obscuring the view. So I have to do some pruning. I have to cut around and make sure this comes to view. And so this is what the whole thing is very beautiful. So this body is a temple. The indweller is Krishna, Lord Krishna, or whatever way you invoke Bhagavan in, goddess, whatever it is. Ganesha, anything you take, whatever you can relate to. And so therefore all acts connected to this body are sanctified. So waking up is a spiritual act. In fact, when we wake up, we are told to spend a few minutes and look at the hands. Just look at the hands. Why the hands? Because this is what I'm going to unleash. These are the karmendriyas, organs of action. So just a silent prayer, be whatever these hands do, be sanctified, be productive. Let me just see that this is how it is to be. And then the legs touch the feet from the bed. And that is also a worship. Let me at least not today, let me today at least be not a burden to Mother Earth. Let me lead my life. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow I don't know. But today let me lead my life. A silent reminder. For us, taking a bath, we don't jump into the shower. Unheard of. Yeah. Which one of you comes to how many of you come to the Friday Abhisheka here? Yeah, some of you are coming, as you know. So we have a ritual way of bathing here, which is wonderful to see. That same thing we do to this body. We do to ourselves. That is the bath in the morning. And the eating is another form of worship to the fire within, to Lord fire within. And what does this Lord fire do? He helps digest. It's the digestive fire. So you don't just grab and eat and, do 10,000 things while eating. No. It will not be assimilated. So in order for it to be assimilated nicely, there are certain ways of eating. You quieten the mind and you eat very nicely, and you don't talk while eating. When I first came into this country, I was in a very difficult place because my mother told me, sit quietly and eat. And here everybody said, let's talk it over at lunch. Culturally very different. And so the first 2 times when I went to lunch, I think they were disappointed because I didn't say a word. I just thought we are supposed to eat quietly. But here, it's different. So eat quietly, appreciate what you're eating, notice what you're eating. Whether you cooked or somebody has cooked. And even before cooking, that food came from so many sources. Visualize its journey, see what is there in front of you, enjoy it. And this is all the whole thing. And going to work, even if it's the worst job in the world, we grow into a person who enjoys what one has to do. Because you can't always do as you like. You can't order your life. You can't choose your siblings. You can't choose your parents. Yes, you can choose who you marry. But that too really is not a choice. Yeah. It's a very deep thing. And you can choose your friends, but really did you choose them? Or were they chosen for you? Why did you meet this person in a certain way? Why did you like this person? This choice is there. It's a semblance of freedom here. And it disguises really the truth behind, which is that this universe is running on certain laws. We call them, they are not laws, even though we say they are laws of Bhagavan, of the Lord, of the Goddess, we don't call them laws as mandates. They are the manifestations. So wherever there is, the law of dharma means what is to be done. I do what is to be done. That is the main aspect of dharma. Another aspect is I don't do what is not to be done. I don't hurt ahimsa. I don't injure other people. And I don't, climb over somebody's back in order to get what I want, cutting off their chances. I learn to play fair because I want to also have other people play fair with me. This is dharma. This is universal. It is not something just out of the Gita. Every religion talks about dharma. And in fact, we don't need religion to teach dharma. They just reiterate what is already sensed deep within. Because it is an order, I sense it. That's why even the dog, if it is done something it should not do, it will look guilty, That is what the beauty of this is. You see it, it is available everywhere. In no country, in no culture was it wrong to, was it ever right, homicide was okay in BC, but not, now, never. It was always wrong. Stealing, defrauding, cheating was always wrong. We don't see these as mandates of God. God sitting somewhere has made this mandate. No. We see it as a manifestation. So wherever there is dharma, there is the whole, the total that I seek. And if I am close to dharma, if I am in conformity, there is no stress, no conflict. That's why, because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, where is the conflict? I'm not doing what I'm not supposed to do, so really there is no stress. This is really the wonderful way. This is what is called karma yoga, following dharma and dedicating all the actions as an act of worship. Dedicating my actions as an act of worship. In the beginning, dharma is followed deliberately. Because somebody said, everything that I like is either illegal or unethical, immoral, or has too many calories. So this is the problem. I can't indulge because everything is, raw. That's not really the point. The point is that I grow to become a person who likes what there is to be done. This is where the spiritual growth is. This is the transition. Here is where the transition comes. this is what I have to understand. This is the culmination of the spiritual growth where one is in a place of no conflict, no rub against any individual, against the order, against the laws that are there. And that, my friends, is the definition of freedom. When I am in conformity to what is, I am free. This is really radical, very deep. But how can I be free when I am in conformity to all that is? Because you are in conformity with the whole. You are in conformity with the truth of yourself. You are no longer alienated. You are no longer trying to, like a little goldfish trying to jump out of the bowl to get freedom. That is not freedom. If the fish ends up coming out of the bowl, it will die. So too here, something dies when I willfully alienate myself from that which is nourishing, which is feeding me. And what is feeding me is my connection to everything that there is. And this is the connection that is reiterated through all my actions. And that is what karma yoga is. And whatever comes, I understand, I start to see that there is much more than just my actions and my results of my actions. I see that there are hidden variables over which I have no control. That despite my best efforts, despite all the planning, despite all the hard work, somebody else, the neighbor gets the promotion. I keep looking on. This is something I see, and this is something I have to understand. That I don't call all the shots. At least that's in the beginning. Later on, we have to get to the place I don't call any of the shots. But that's a while coming. But okay, let's at least baby steps, baby karma yoga. And what is that? I don't call all the shots. So therefore, I have to make sure that all the obstacles are taken care of. And so if I don't call all the shots, what do? That's why the Bhagavad Gita says, you resort to prayer. You acknowledge at least that presence which calls all the shots. And you make that on your side. This is it. I told you, I'll tell you the story of how, Lord Krishna became the charioteer of Arjuna. Arjuna and the other baddie, the one on the other side. What was his name? Duryodhana. Duryodhana and Arjuna both approached Lord Krishna. Krishna was sleeping. I mean, not really, but Krishna sleeps, the world will go into, liquidation, but called Laya. No, not sleeping, but resting. And we must never wake up somebody who is resting. So therefore, what happened? He said, they both stood waiting for him to wake up. Duryodhana, because he had a lot of pride, he stood at the head, near Lord Krishna's head. This is where I belong. And Arjuna respectfully went and sat near the feet. If you are sleeping and you wake up, what will you see first? What is in front of you, which is not what is behind you. So he sees Arjuna and says, "Oh Arjuna, what do you want?" He knows that Arjuna has not come to have a cup of tea. He's asking for something, that's why he's come. This fellow. I came first. Oh, Duryodhana, you are also here. Well, Krishna says, you may have come first, but my eyes fell on Arjuna first. So he's going to get the first chance of asking what he wanted. Duryodhana never prayed. He only knew how to prey upon the sentiments of others and the resources of others. That's a different form of praying. The spelling is also different. So, he didn't know how to pray. But if he would have prayed, if he could have prayed, at this time he would have prayed. Because he thought that Arjuna has come to ask for Krishna's army, which was invincible army. Nobody could kill them, they could only kill each other. That is what was called the Yadava army. So he was afraid, and if he could have prayed, he would have prayed, please let him not ask for that army. But Arjuna surprised him. Arjuna said, when he spoke, he said, I want you to join us. Krishna said, don't you see the Swiss flag on front of my house? I'm neutral. I don't take sides. I'm the Lord, I'm impartial. It's okay. I'll take a non-fighting you. But no, I don't need the fighting army. All I need is you. And since he could not just in the battlefield, you can't just, hang out there. So he took the role of the charioteer. That's how he came to be the charioteer. And it's a beautiful allegory for how to lead our lives. Krishna represents the hidden variables. The hidden variables over which we have no say, over which we don't even know when they are going to come out. And what are those here hidden variables? They are another law. My own karma from previous lives that is inhibiting the fruits of my actions. So he said, you be here. So every arrow has to pass through Krishna before hitting Arjuna. What a wonderful thing this was. And so he said, you just be here and I know that success is assured. Very telling words, very allegorical. And so here too, that means I have the Lord on my side. How do I do that? By being in conformity with the manifest orders of the universe. And sometimes the order comes in a way that we don't like. Because we have a sense of entitlement. I was in the hotel earlier and I saw one woman just making herself so stressed because she had asked for something and they didn't have it. I didn't get what she had asked for, but whatever it was, they didn't have it. Period. But I was told, I phoned in advance and, I was told that you would have it. Well, ma'am, we are sorry. We made a mistake. We don't have it. How can you do this? This is smoke coming out of the ears like in the comics. This is what is going to happen? Nothing. So that the order sometimes it is not there. Okay. So they lied. Okay. All right, they are very bad people. Okay. I'll never stay here again. Okay, don't stay here again. Next time, book yourself in a wonderful place which will hopefully be more accommodative of your needs. But right now, they don't have it, lady. Instead of screaming here, you can either go get it or, make some other arrangements or check out, do something. So the order, is in these small ways. And learn that conformity. And when I say conformity, people feel nervous, like, oh, I shouldn't fight for what I want, I shouldn't go for what I want, go for what you want. I'm just talking of when you don't get it, what do you do? That's what I'm talking about. Go for what you want. But we are talking of those occasions where the answer is no, a big no, talk to the hand answer. You know what? What are we going to do? We have to accept what is. And in this acceptance, there is a surrender. In this acceptance, there is great glory actually. And moreover, in this acceptance, there is self-growth. And that self-growth is the definition of success in the Bhagavad Gita. Not the modern definition of how much desires I have been able to fulfill and accomplish. That's not success. The definition of success in the Bhagavad Gita is given in the very last verse. Yatra Yogeshwarah Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhuti, Dhruvani Tir Mama. Means wherever there is Bhagavan and on the side, on your side, you have to make Bhagavan on your side. And how to do that? Through making everything prayerful. By not procrastinating, because this is a big one. How to make it? Procrastination and prayer don't go side by side, even though both of them begin with PR. No, that's where the commonality ends. Yeah. Procrastination and prayer don't go hand in hand. If something is prayerful, then it has to be fresh. And so how to not procrastinate? Do the things that you hate first. Do that first. Finish that off, then you can enjoy, liking whatever is there. This is how it is. So Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, wherever Krishna is on one side, and where a student is like Arjuna, that is where success and joy. Siddhi means success, Siddhi means joy, and Shri. Shri means Goddess Lakshmi. Who is that? Abundance, prosperity, and success reside when Bhagavan is on your side. And what is this Bhagavan? What is Bhagavan. Whatever I confront is Bhagavan. And so I lead my life so that I don't rub against the altars. And when I do that, no more is there stress. So if one is serious about this, it is a pursuit. It's a pursuit of knowledge. This is what is called Vedanta, this is what I teach. And if one wants some relative comfort and freedom from stress, one can take a lot of things from whatever we have talked today and practically apply it in one's life for some relative, freedom from stress. Thank you very much. Om Purnamada Purnamida Purnam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. If there are any questions, you can ask. If anything was not clear, if you want to hear more of something, or even if it's not related to the talk, but you'd like to ask anything, please go ahead. Yes.
Swamini, why is it that at the end of the Kauravas and the Pandavas, Arjuna and his brother descend to hell?
Very good question.
Does not.
Very
Why does
good
that happen
question.
if everything is just?
Very good question. Why does Arjuna and his elder brother, Yudhishthira, why do they go to hell if they have been, Yudhishthira has been speaking the truth always. But after he dies, Yudhishthira goes to hell and sees Arjuna, sees Duryodhana being fed grapes by the peeled grapes by heavenly nymphs and being fanned. And the fire is fanning in his heart, seeing this idiot enjoying all the things. And he says to one of the messengers in heaven, messengers of Lord Indra, he says, what kind of a justice is this? I am here seeing this fellow. He says, that's because you told one lie earlier. And what was the lie? You said, Ashwathamo hataha. Ashwathama is killed. But whether it was elephant or whether it was the man, we didn't know. So that is why you are here. And why is this fellow here? This fellow is here because the rule is that if you do something, if you do a lot of good, wherever your longest stay is, you go there last. If you do by mistake a little bit of good thing, you are in heaven for 2 minutes and then you are taken away. And in fact, we achieved 2 things here. We got your hellish experience in heaven itself, and then he was here because accidentally he did something good, even though he didn't want to. And so even before he could finish swallowing the peeled grape, he was sent to hell. And then, Yudhishthira went to hell because they had a few things, 5 minutes to see other his brothers suffering, and they were all taken to heaven. That's why. Yeah, that's the law. That wherever your longest stay is, you go there last.
I've been reading Bhagavad Gita, right? Why was Arjuna chosen to receive moksha and Swami's grace and not...
Because he asked for it.
But he asked for it.
Wow.
But what about Karna?
Yeah, Karna didn't ask for it.
Karna didn't ask for it, but Karna was a good person.
Karna is a great person.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is saying. Nobody is saying he's a bad person. No. It's a particular kind of... He didn't get... we have to understand what is moksha. Moksha means that you are discovering that you are already free. It's not something that's bestowed upon you by anything, because you are that Lord that you seek. So it's not bestowed or given or granted by anyone, anywhere, anytime. It is, you are free, you are told that, and he was told that through 17 teaching chapters. Even though Bhagavad Gita is 18 chapters, Arjuna takes up the first chapter, so I'm not counting that. Through 17 chapters, he was instructed, as a result of which he gained that freedom. Karna never approached Lord Krishna and said, I want these teachings. And only these teachings are to be given only when somebody comes and says, I see you as a teacher. Teacher is not a teacher. Teacher is, there is no, guru. There is no such person as called guru. Guru becomes a guru when you say, I am a shishya. When you say, I am a student, to that person the guru says, okay, I will teach you. And every Upanishad says, don't give this knowledge until it is expressly asked for. Just talk about the weather and tea and coffee. Don't talk about this unless it is asked for. So Arjuna says, Shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam, second chapter. Third or fourth verse he says this. And I am your Shishya, I am totally helpless, I don't see my way out of this. Please teach me, you are my only refuge. Only then he begins to teach. Karna and Krishna never had that conversation. Yeah. That's why. Karna is a great person, no problem. He was just, unfortunately, the victim of bad circumstances. That's what. Not his fault. But some problem there also. This thing there. Yeah. Other questions? Very nice. All of you listened so well. I'm very happy. Thank you for having me here. So good to meet all of you. Thank you. Would you like to have prasad? Come. Come. Wow, that is also there. Wow, okay, open. And give this here. It's easy to give out. Very nice. Today is a good day, huh? Yes, yeah. During lunch, after lunch, whatever we can do that. Yeah.
So come take blessings and then have some prasad. And then if anyone wants to stay a little longer and come talk with Swamini one-on-one, then you're welcome to do that as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Can you hand me that? How are you? Take one. Because otherwise my hand will all be nice and sticky. Everyone take.